Fares are set to fall on ferry services in the Northern Isles. The Scottish Government's announced that the Road Equivalent Tariff Scheme, RET, which has cut the cost of sailing on the Clyde and Hebrides ferry services, will soon apply to routes in the Pentland Firth. There'll also be reductions in fares for travellers on the services steaming out of Aberdeen en route to Kirkwall and Lerwick. Well, let's go live to Lerwick. Our reporter John Johnson is at the harbour side. Morning once again, John.
Good morning, Gary, from a very sunny Lerwick harbour, and the overnight ferry from Aberdeen, the Rossi, is tied up at the pier in the last hour, and freight's been unloaded here behind me. Supermarket supplies have been brought ashore, and passengers on the 12-hour crossing are still coming ashore. Well, as you said there, Gary, from next year the cost of travelling on the Northern Isles ferry is going to get a lot cheaper, and with me this morning is the Transport Minister, Humza Yousaf. Good morning to you, Minister. A few more details on what you're announcing today.
Good morning. Absolutely delighted to be in Lerwick to make this announcement that the ferry fares to Northern Islands will be reducing significantly, over 30% on average for foot passengers, over 40% on average when it comes to car passengers, and that will be great for islanders, of course, but also great for tourists as well. I'm looking to make that ferry fares reduction early next year.
Give us an example this morning. How much cheaper, say, will it be for two people in a car to travel from Aberdeen up here to Shetland?
Well, if you're not living on the island and you're a tourist and want to head up to Shetland for your holidays, if there was two people in a car, it would cost you approximately £228 currently. With our ferry fares, the reduction in ferry fares that the Scottish Government funded, that cost will reduce dramatically to £110, so an over 50% cut for that specific example. So I think really great reductions that are going to see more tourists come, but also very much benefiting islanders as well. That's going to be a significant saving for them too, because every time I travelled to Shetland and Orkney, they told me they wanted reductions on their ferry fares and the cost of travelling back home.
Well, Steve Matheson is standing beside us from Visit Scotland. Just your reaction this morning. Cheaper fares, more tourists.
Great news for Shetland. This is a very important step in attracting more visitors to Shetland, coming seeing our beautiful islands and growing our tourism industry.
Because the sector has said for many years that the biggest barrier to growing tourism here in the islands is the sheer cost of getting here.
You're exactly right, John. The cost of getting to Shetland has always been the barrier to growing the industry, and now we can look at marketing to whole new markets. I'm thinking in particular at the moment of families who've found it very expensive to bring a car and a couple of kids here, and now we've got a chance of bringing them and showing them what we've really got to offer in Shetland.
And is Shetland prepared for this growth in tourism? We've seen across in the Western Isles huge numbers of people travelling, and some places find it hard to cope.
We've never had those problems in Shetland. I think any visitor who's thinking of coming to Shetland will find out exactly how beautiful the islands are and what a fantastic warm welcome they'll get when they get here.
Well, Ryan Thompson, you're the Chair of Transport with Shetland Islands Council. You've campaigned long and hard for fair ferry fares. What's your reaction to this announcement?
I think it's very welcome news. I've campaigned very hard, but there's been a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes, both in the SIC before I joined here. Myself and Humza's team as well. They've put a lot of hard work into this. It's been a long time coming. It's been a very complex issue. But overall, it's very welcome news, absolutely.
But for residents, people that stay in the islands, the cut will not be as huge as for tourists. I mean, we already have a 30% discount, and there will be no discount for cabins.
There's no discount for cabins. I mean that is a disappointment. But I mean, it's understandable given the capacity issues on the boat. I think that the government are pretty hamstrung in what they can achieve there. So it is disappointment. But overall, I mean, it's without doubt welcome news.
Humza, why no discount for cabins for islanders?
Well, let me congratulate Ryan and those that were involved in the campaign. I think it's been a great campaign that they've ran, and obviously the government's worked constructively with the local authority and of course Serco to get this ferry fare reduction. In terms of cabin, Ryan's absolutely right. It's the cabin utilisation. I was looking at the figures for last month in July, peak season of course, the 21st of July, right the way through to the following few days, and you're talking about almost 100% cabin utilisation. You reduce the fare of cabins, then where the heck do people go? And
so you're going to have to build bigger ferries now for the next contract.
I do love a trier. So certainly for the next contract, we certainly have to look at capacity issues. How do we increase capacity? And that's certainly something we'll look at.
Just very briefly, Minister, the Northern Isles have had to wait for the RET scheme to come along, while the Western Isles have reaping the benefits for many years. Do you not accept that this has been unfair?
Well, bear in mind, as you said in your report opening remarks, there has been an island discount, of course, that has been applied. So I think when I first arrived to the islands, people said they felt it was unfair compared to the West Coast. We've addressed that now with great fare reductions, and I encourage everybody to make sure they book and come up to the Northern Isles as soon as possible.
Well, Humza Yousaf, Steve Matheson and Ryan Thompson, thanks for your time this morning.